In a situation like this, where a narrative is being shared publicly, especially in the context of online drama or a fallout, there are several psychological and strategic reasons why someone might construct a story with these kinds of contradictions. 1. Reputation management and the victim narrative. By starting the story with threats and aggressive behavior, "I would hit you," she establishes herself as the victim of a volatile person. This frames any subsequent actions, including her physical closeness at the beach, as her being kind, maternal, or simply managing a difficult person. It's a way to ensure the audience is on her side before she addresses more controversial topics.
I was just like that, very like the mom voice, you know? And he wouldn't speak to me. He's like, "I'll get out of this fucking car right now." He said, "Oh my God, like, if you're glad you're not a man, I would hit you." And I said, "Why would you hit me? That you're touching me. You're invading my space." And he's like, "You need to pull over. I need a cigarette." And I had to stop at a gas station and let him get out and smoke. And he kept me at the gas station about 20 minutes. And I called Mr. Sunshine and I said, "This was a mistake. Like, there is no way I should have brought him down here because he's already flipping out on the way." We get to the beach. I have to find a parking spot. He jumps out of the car, starts walking down the sidewalk, finding a cigarette. We're only at the beach about an hour and a half. I went in the water. I had a hurt knee. He came over because he saw me struggling with the waves. And we locked arms side by side. And he said he was sorry. I said, "It's okay." We locked arms. And I held onto his hand with my left hand. He had one arm around my back. And I had my other arm around his arm. So we were kind of like, if you ever see Navy SEALs standing there when the waves hit them, we were just like that. And
2. Preempting counter-accusations. She mentions that she heard you, or the person she's talking about, claims she, quote, "came on to him." The strategy, by describing the physical contact, locking arms, holding hands, in her own words first, she tries to control the narrative. The spin. She frames the intimacy as a Navy SEAL survival tactic to help her hurt knee, rather than a romantic or inappropriate gesture. This allows her to admit the physical contact happened, while denying the intent behind it. 3.
I played in the water a little bit. I didn't even go in very deep. And that was it. I got out and I started talking to a girl, a Native American girl, and he went and found this group that was in a rehab center and started singing my praises, telling them all about how I was a psychic medium and I was, doing spiritual teaching. So they came over and we were never alone. And
creating a buffer of witnesses, her insistence that they were never alone because of the rehab group is a classic way to shut down any claims of misconduct. Even if that group was 50 yards away on the sand while she was in the water, she uses their presence to imply that nothing bad could have happened. In short, she is likely trying to balance being the wronged party while simultaneously explaining away physical interactions that she knows might be used against her later.
then we went back home. And again, I stopped at the gas station twice and got him food. We got back home and I told Mr. Sunshine that would probably never happen again because it was a lot of drama, but we never discussed it. And then on the live, Rich Lux's live, I heard him say that I came on to him. Oh no, he did go to you, Mr. Sunshine. That's not true. When we started having problems, he did go to him. I forgot. I don't know what he said to you. I don't remember. And
he just said you would come on to him, and I said, "You need to wake up. Get out of your fantasy world."
It was, I don't know. It was a weird situation. It was a weird situation because I always felt like we were best friends on the verge of it. But at the same time, it was always like he could never keep it at the same level that I was comfortable with.
Explaining away inconsistencies to a spouse. The fact that she forgot that Mr. Sunshine, her husband, had already been told about these claims is a major red flag. It's possible she told her husband one version of the story, the "he's aggressive and I'm scared" version, and is now trying to reconcile that with the reality that they were seen being physically close at the beach. Calling her husband during the trip to say it was a mistake serves as an alibi to prove to him that she wasn't enjoying herself.
And it was a lot of boundaries being pushed. Like, he was angry when I took the kids without him, vacation without him, went to the water park without him. And I didn't go with Mr. Sunshine. I just went with my children. And he would be angry about that. If I bought Eli pizza and I didn't get it for him, he'd be angry. If we dropped off groceries and Eli was with us, but he didn't get invited to go, he'd be angry. And there was a lot of that going on before he left. So I can't say that his departure was entirely related to substance.
4. Minimizing financial obligations. By painting the individual as unstable, angry over pizza, and flipping out, she makes his later demand for money look like another crazy or unreasonable outburst rather than a legitimate business or personal debt.
I think there was a lot of factors. I don't know them all. He says that when he got back, it was because he missed Dara, and Dara regulates him, and he needed to be with Dara no matter what. And we're like, well, good. Then this is where you need to be. We are glad that you are doing what you want to do, and you're with who you want to be with, and we wish you nothing but the best. And there was no bad feelings until 2 days later. He's like, give me my money. And I'm like, what money? And that's where he started with, you owe me money. And I'm like, Armando, we both tried to pay you. And so did Pam Grayson. Angel Boss called you. Andrea called you. Everybody contacted you and reached out, tried to get you to get your cigarettes, your belongings, and your money before you left.
Sudden pivot to money. She states that everything was fine until 2 days later when he asked for his money, $255. This claim of being blindsided by a request for money. What money? $257 seems to ignore the drama and the weird situation she spent the entire video describing. If the relationship was as volatile and boundary-pushing as she claimed, with him getting angry over pizza and groceries, $214. A dispute over money would be a predictable next step rather than a total surprise. The never alone claim. She emphasizes that at the beach, we were never alone because of the group from the rehab center, 111. However, she also admits they were in the water together, locked arm in arm, while she was struggling with the waves, 041. Being physically joined in the water is a private interaction, regardless of whether other people are standing on the shore. The way she switches between describing him as a threat and then as a support system in the waves suggests she is adjusting the story to fit whatever point she is making at that moment, specifically on financial disputes and the circumstances surrounding a departure. Financial claims and receipts. Disputed debt. She claims the individual began demanding money 2 days after a seemingly amicable departure, specifically asking, quote, give me my money, 035. In addition to the physical intimacy shifts already discussed, there are several logical and narrative inconsistencies in her account that stand out as potentially untruthful. 1. The invading space versus physicality. During the car ride, she claims she confronted him for invading my space and touching me, 012. However, her description of the beach involves her actively choosing to lock arms, hold his hand, and place her arm around his arm, 046. It is contradictory to claim someone is dangerously violating your personal space in a car, only to then initiate or participate in complex, multi-point physical contact in the ocean shortly after. 2. The role of Mr. Sunshine. She claims she called her husband during the drive to say the trip was a mistake because the individual was flipping out, 025. Yet, later in the video, she admits she forgot that the individual had already gone to her husband to complain about her, 127. This suggests she is struggling to keep track of the communication timeline between the three of them and who knew what, when. 3. The never alone claim. She emphasizes that they were never alone at the beach because of a group from a rehab center, 111. This statement is a common defensive tactic used to imply that no inappropriate behavior could have happened. However, it contradicts her own detailed story of being in the water together, where she describes an intimate physical interaction that would have been largely obscured by the waves or distance from the shore, 055. 4. Amicable departure versus a lot of drama. She describes the departure as being on good terms, saying, we wish you nothing but the best, and that there were no bad feelings, 250. This directly conflicts with her statements that he was flipping out on the way to the beach, 025. There was a lot of drama, 120. He was constantly angry about pizzas, groceries, and vacations, 214. He had already gone to her husband with accusations, 127. It is narratively inconsistent to claim a relationship was defined by volatile anger and flipping out, only to then claim the breakup was perfectly peaceful until a money dispute 2 days later. 5. The selective memory of accusations. She claims she only heard about the coming onto him allegation later on, a Rich Lux live stream, 124, but then immediately corrects herself to say, oh no, he did go to you, Mr. Sunshine. I forgot, 127. This forgetting and then remembering, a major accusation from her own husband, suggests the narrative is being constructed or adjusted as she speaks, including Pam Grayson and Angel Boss tried to give Armando his money and belongings before he left, but he refused them. She later mentions having receipts for over $1,000 sent to his Cash App and Venmo, 155. Claims of fabrications. The speaker alleges that several statements made were untrue, specifically regarding someone being fired from a job and a lack of funds, 113. Social media conflict. The speaker states she only began speaking publicly because she was told she would be destroyed on social media if she didn't pay, 204. She notes that despite the rants, she has actually gained followers, 226. Character defense. The speaker concludes by saying people often check her page after hearing these narratives and realize the claims do not match her character.
And you wouldn't take it. And now he says that it's my fault that he was going to get drug in. Everybody contacted him. And my husband has the receipts on that. him saying, no, I don't want anything from you guys. You've already done enough for me. And then when he contacted me, he told me that he was not in Texas, which we found out is a fabrication. He said that Dara had been fired from his job, which again, that's a fabrication because Dara left for his job while we were on the live. And he also said that he had no money, which we know is a fabrication because we receive statements of his benefits. And then the last thing, was that we needed to send him money. And I said, Armando, we've tried paying you money over and over. I said, if you want us to give you some money and you want to approach Mr. Sunshine about it, because he's already told me I can't give you any more money because I've already given you over $1,000. And people said, show the receipts. I sent it to Rich Lux's live and he didn't show it on the live that night because it was after we got off. But people said I was lying and show receipts. I do have receipts totaling over $1,000 sent to his Cash App and his Venmo account. And that's not counting any of what we bought here or the gifts that he left with, like the phone or the tablet or anything.
Pam Grayson and Angel Boss tried to give Armando his money and belongings before he left, but he refused them. She later mentions having receipts for over $1,000 sent to his Cash App and Venmo, $155. Claims of fabrications. The speaker alleges that several statements made were untrue, specifically regarding someone being fired from a job and a lack of funds.
So at that point, though, he told me that if I didn't pay him, he would destroy me on social media. That's the only reason I've come out of my own, temple, I guess you could say, come out of my own teachings and went over to even see that, to tell the truth about it. I had no reason to lie, and he's given me followers. I'm being quite honest. I've actually gained about 25 followers from him. And the more he rants about me, the more popular I become and the bigger it makes the One Tribe. So what he's doing isn't hurting me, but I do feel like we need to at least air out the laundry because it's already on the line, just crumpled up.
13. Social media conflict. The speaker states she only began speaking publicly because she was told she would be destroyed on social media if she didn't pay. 204. She notes that despite the rants, she has actually gained followers.
New here, and I don't know about this drama in the past, but I am new, and I have built a really good friendship with Armando. I know his significant other, and they're very good people, and he's trying to move forward and not backwards. And he came here to make amends with everyone. And it just so happened that everyone that was tied up in his past kept bringing him down.
We were all best friends with Armando at one point. I have been for the last 2.5 years and never thought.
Phoenix, what about our feelings? It's always Armando. What about us? What about
everybody's feelings are valid, but I don't think that is getting anywhere talking about his past or traumatic event.
The past is prologue.
I think that it does because there has to be a context.
She notes that despite the rants, she has actually gained followers. 226. Character defense. The speaker concludes by saying people often check her page after hearing these narratives and realize the claims do not match her character.